This drawing is to give you an idea of the structure of the house. So how the house is actually built is there was a stone foundation built, and that was just river stones, and they're packed with an Adobe mortar, so they're a mud mortar. And then the ground was graded away from the house to keep it from flooding and to keep the Adobe from getting saturated. On top of the foundation was the Adobe block wall, and our walls are just under 2 feet thick. And those Adobe blocks would have been made with mud and straw from the valley here, so it's all from close by. And then embedded in the base of the walls are the beams that hold up the floor, so they're big, rough-hewn beams. Some of them are pretty much just logs with some slight flattening on the sides. On top of the logs, there are just boards, so the wide plank floors, like these actually, are sitting right on top of those logs, and that makes up the floor structure. The roof structure is pretty much the exact same thing. So it's just beams called vigas, which are sitting on top of the edges of the walls, and those stretch across the room. And then on top of those are boards, and then on top of the boards is a few inches of Adobe dirt that is packed down, so that way it cuts down on drafts, and it also protects from water leaks, and it creates a little bit of insulation. And then on top of that, of course, is the galvanized metal roof. The window openings and the door openings are protected by something called lintels that hold the walls up. So buried inside of the wall are some big wooden beams, and those extend past the openings for the windows and the doors. So those are what hold the wall up above the windows and doors, because the Adobe doesn't have a lot of structure, so you'd end up getting squashed if you tried to have a door that didn't have a lintel above it to hold the wall up. So that's just basically how the house is built. Very, very simple construction, and it's pretty easy to repair if it needs to be repaired. These are the beams holding up the ceiling. You can see the boards on top of the beams, and then on top of that is the earth. And this is pretty much exactly what it looks like from the basement, looking up at the plank floors. So this is the very back room of the house. We went ahead and stripped the walls, as you could see. They were a little bit different than the front. So the front, we just had mostly cement stucco. These walls had layers of calcimine paint, vinyl paint, and gypsum plaster on them. So we went ahead and scraped it, and it was a humongous amount of work to get it off of here. The vinyl paint doesn't allow the walls to breathe, so that had to go. The gypsum plaster doesn't bond properly to the walls, and it can fall off in the presence of moisture, so that had to go. And the calcimine paint just had to go along with it because we were trying to get back to zero on these walls. As far as our plans for this room, obviously the ceilings are really short. This room was added, I think, in the 30s or 40s, but we're going to keep it. The floors in the general store, which is through that doorway there, are actually 8 inches lower. So we're going to see if we can lower the floors in this room to match those floors. The floor structure in this room is actually independent of the walls. So it's not tied into the walls, it's just sitting on piers. So we're going to see if we can lower the floors down to give us a little bit more head space in here, because it's a little bit cramped, so that it matches that room there. And then this will become the guest room. That's good.